Hey everybody, welcome to Hockey Skate Down. Before we get into the video, I just want to say thank you to all my subscribers. If you want to join our hockey team, it's free. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell to all. Thank you all so much, and let's get started. So, the NHL trade deadline has come and passed, and the New Jersey Devils and general manager Tom Fitzgerald has done jack shit. This is something that angered a lot of Devils fans. I wanted to do a video last night, but I couldn't. I was so upset with scrolling and constantly looking through news and come to find out what the Devils actually did. It was so deflating to see what's going to happen for the remainder of this year. They came out and said they were going to make moves. They were still going to be buyers. And to get Brian Dumoulin, Cody Glass, and Daniel Sprong as your three assets going forward to help this team out and help them push for a playoff spot, it's deflating. So I wanted to do a video on this because I was pissed off. I know a lot of Devils fans are pissed off. They expected more. Not that a lot of Devils fans expected us to get Mikko Rantanen and Brad Marchand and all these other players that were out there. I didn't expect that. But I did expect them to use some assets, which they did have, to acquire something to help out for now and in the near future. So that's where I get it. We had players we could have traded. We had assets we could have traded. We had draft picks. We had capital that we could have moved out to bring something helpful for now for a player that has a bit of terms. That's what I was hoping the Devils would have did. Fitzgerald did say that he wanted to add that element, and he did nothing of that. So a lot of Devils fans are pissed off. They're calling for Fitzgerald, and I'm not defending him anymore with this. This was a horrible trade deadline. This was something that you want your team to get into the playoffs. You want them to gain that playoff experience again, just to get that drive for the following year when we get Jack and Dougie and all these players back, and other moves you make during the offseason, and bringing in Gritsuk and all that. You want to see this team, just gaining that experience to gain that drive for the following year, and you set them up for failure. This was something that you could have added something to help out. This team was dreadful before Jack even went down. They were winning one, losing one, winning one, losing one. The consistency was never there all year, and this was something that you could have made a different trade to help out. And it was so just horrible watching this trade deadline. So let's talk about it in this video, so please stay with me throughout. So we saw that Jack Hughes, he had shoulder surgery. The Devils finally put out after his injury, a couple of days afterwards, that he had shoulder surgery. He was placed on LTIR, expected to make full recovery and be available for training camp. So right then, those words mean he's done for the year. Then you come to find out Sheldon Keefe was fined $25,000, which was a bullshit fine in my opinion. And, for him, the NHL just, with some of their actions, their consistency as well is never there. Dougie Hamilton, we come to find out that he's out week to week, and Siegenthaler is out for, they said the season, but he still could come back possibly for the playoffs. So there's question marks with him and when he can return. But, the Devils are out. The Devils are out their star player. They're out. They're one of their better defensemen and one of their better defensive defensemen. So you're missing a lot. I wasn't expecting them to make 6 or 7 trades to bring in all these different names. Wasn't expecting that at all. I wasn't expecting them to go all the way up in their cap space, all the way to the spend to the dollar. I wasn't expecting that because, losing those elements, it's tough. It's tough to come back and be successful, to have a successful playoff push when your offense and your defense is geared around these star players. I didn't expect that, but I did expect some sort of moves based on what Fitzgerald said leading up to the trade deadline. He said that, this was what was said to Elliot Friedman. He tweeted out that Tom Fitzgerald and the New Jersey Devils' plans have not changed. They will not wave the white flag. James Nichols tweeted out, per source, the Jack news does not change the Devils' status as a buyer. Emily Kaplan tweeted out, Hughes done for the season after shoulder surgery. Huge setback, but Devils management still believes in the group and will try to add players ahead of Friday's deadline. So I understand all that, but when you're saying that and some of the trades you make kind of make you assume they're going to add stuff, that's where it pissed off a lot of Devils fans. And we all know the premiums for all these trades was very high. A lot of these players went, and the return was astronomical. It was a lot bigger than it was last year or the last time these players were moved to different teams. But it's just tough. And when you see that the Devils made that trade with Trent Frederic, that was a huge question mark to me. This was a player that they could have used and that they needed, and they quickly traded him to the Edmonton Oilers to get Shane Lachance. So that was a huge question mark to me. So the Devils were part of a 3-team trade. They had Trent Frederic, but they helped in a trade to get the rights to Shane Lachance from Edmonton for retaining 50% on Frederic's cap hit, and they gave up Peter Hauser as well, the rights to Peter Hauser. Then they traded, this was the day before the trade deadline, I believe. They traded a 2025 second-round pick and the rights to prospect Herman Traff to the Anaheim Ducks for defenseman Brian Dumoulin, and Anaheim retained the 50%. So when you saw the retention, you kind of assumed that the Devils were looking at players to add to try to keep to a certain cap. They gave up more assets for Anaheim to do that. So after the trade deadline passed, you're kind of questioning, why did they do that? Why did they give up more for Anaheim to retain when they could have took on Dumoulin's full contract? He's a UFA. It's not like he has terms. So that was a huge question mark to me. Then during the day, we saw that Jonathan Kovacevic was extended to a 5-year, $20 million contract. Breaks down to $4 million AAV. Great. I love Kovacevic. A bit high based on what he's making now. You kind of assumed he'd be in the threes, and that's another question mark to me. Why did Fitzgerald wait till the trade deadline to do this instead of doing it earlier in the year? We saw him play. We saw him incorporate well. We saw him buy into the system and play so well. Why would you not try to work out an extension earlier in the year where you could have saved maybe $1 million, $1.5 million or something like that? And I don't want to nickel and dime everything, but in a cap world, you look to save as much as you can. If it was done earlier, could have saved a good amount. But I'm glad Kovacevic is back. Love the guy. Good dude. Well liked. I'm glad he's back. But then you saw them make a trade. They traded a 2027 third-round pick, Max Graham, and Chase Stillman for Cody Glass and Jonathan Gruden. To get Cody Glass, that's an overpayment to me. I'm sorry. If it was just a third-round pick, okay, but you're giving up Max Graham and Chase Stillman. Chase Stillman is a former first-round pick of the Devils. And why did you not, Chase Stillman, why didn't you call him up during the year? That's the thing. Why did you not try to see what he can offer? Is he not better than a question mark? Is he not better than a Nate Bastion? Is he not better than a Tatar, the way they were playing, especially Hola and all these other players, Lazar? Could he not come in and see if he can ignite something in the team just by doing something small out there? None of the players from Utica were really utilized this year a lot. Yeah, you saw a couple of them come up here and there for a game and then quickly get sent back down. But our bottom two lines were so bad this year. And that's what caused a lot of these games to be lost, where we didn't have that depth. We relied too much on our top six to be productive. And when that's not there, that's why we were shut out a lot of these games. We had no secondary scoring to help our top players. Then later in the day, we saw that the Devils traded a 2026 7th-round pick for Daniel Sprong. So, to me, this was a horrible trade deadline day. You're bringing in question marks to see what they can do. These are players that, these names have not done well. Sprong has played a lot in the AHL. He's had success with certain teams like the Detroit Red Wings and the Seattle Kraken, where he did score a little bit, but what did you see happen? Traded for an asset. So there's word that there's something with the kid where he has an attitude sort of thing. So hopefully that's not the case. You don't want more coming into the locker room to bring the morale down even more. But, hopefully these players can come in and do something. Maybe they have some sort of thing with the Devils where, you never know from team to team what a player can do. Maybe they can just be better and find their way with the Devils. You hope so. But, these are question marks. This isn't something to help your team, give them a boost to get into the playoffs. These are something that you have to kind of wait and see to see how they react with your team. And it's just a huge letdown, this trade deadline. You assumed that Fitzgerald would do more. You heard the rumors of Ryan O'Reilly going around. I thought he'd be a perfect fit for the Devils. He's got that... he's got 2 years left on his deal where it's not a big cap hit. And he could come in now... serve a purpose, and then next year suit perfect in that 3C slot under Hughes and Heischer and fit perfectly. That's what I was hoping Fitzgerald would do. Add a player that has a bit of term where they could help out now, plug a hole that you needed assistance with, and then, have them play in your system when your team is healthy next year. So that's what you were hoping they would do, but to bring in these players, I don't know, it's such a horrible trade deadline that Fitzgerald really dropped the ball in this team. He didn't provide any help. You kind of hope they do, but you know in the back of your mind this is not going to be something that is going to be helpful for this team to make a strong playoff push and to help win playoff rounds. It's not. And, to be down your star players, it was probably that's going to happen, but, you hope the team has some fight left in it. We still have good players. We still have good goaltending, good defense, and, that depth isn't there. And you kind of hope that they find it with these players. So that's what's pissing off a lot of Devils fans. You just wish Fitzgerald did a little bit more, not to add these big names and not to overspend on rentals. You kind of just wish he would have added some players that had a bit of term that could be useful for now and in the future when this team is 100%. So there was names out there. There was names out there that didn't cost a lot. I don't think Ryan O'Reilly would have cost as much as other these players. Tanev went for a second-round pick. He could have been in 2027 too. He could have been a good plug-in for those bottom two lines. Blocks a lot of shots, plays a heavy game. Nico Sturm went for a fourth-round pick in 2026, I believe. Yeah, Nico Sturm went for that. He could have been a good plug-in for those bottom two lines. Moves like this to add depth, and then you see if you can do something within those top two lines. But to see what this team did and to see what Fitzgerald said afterwards is just so deflating if you're a Devils fan. So comment below. What did you think about this trade deadline? What did you think of what Fitzgerald did? Comment below and let me know. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate your time. Smash that like button if you haven't done so, and subscribe to Hockey Skate Town. It's free. And join our hockey team. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of the day. Have a great night. Take it easy. Stay safe.